Hey, everybody, welcome to the Bold Badass Business Owner Show. The Bold Badass Business Owner Show. And today we have a bold badass, which is Mark Porteous, the soul connector. And Mark is here to tell us what not to do in our partnerships and what to do so that we have partnerships that last and are fulfilling, profitable, and soulful. So welcome, Mark. So excited you're here.
Thank you so much, Barnsley. I'm so excited to be here. I always love connecting and having conscious conversation with people I'm aligned with.
Absolutely. You definitely are. And by the way, just so I don't forget you all watching, I want you to know you need to know about Mark's Soulful Leadership Retreat, which happens every February. It's going to be in Orlando. Hello, Disneyland, Disney World,
Mhm.
and amazing entrepreneurs who are soulful leaders. And we will pop something about that, or I will pop something about that in the chat in just a few minutes. But welcome, Mark. And you know what? I love to talk or to ask the question of kind of contrarian question of what have you seen or what relationships have you been in? Don't use names. We'll protect the innocent that really have not worked out and why. What did you see people doing that really wasn't effective and that felt rather manipulative or slimy?
Well, that's a pretty funny question because obviously most people can pick lots of them. And you can
Mhm.
kind of pull them out of the air and try to think about like what are the most dramatic. And I can think of specific ones for myself, many for my clients, because when you're in the business of making partnerships, you're going to see partnerships go bad.
Mhm.
And overall, most of the problems that happen with partnerships begin with misalignment. They,
Mm.
they show up in miscommunication. They show up in not following, lack of integrity. Uh,
Mm.
all of these things usually begin with misalignment, where one person is not in alignment with who they are. And so when you connect that person with somebody who is in alignment, it creates kind of a wobble. And then me as the connector, I then take on the responsibility of having created that wobble and have to fix it. So I have found that if I can prevent the wobble in the first place by finding people who are really aligned in their values with who they really are. They don't have to be necessarily aligned with my values. That makes it a lot easier for me to partner with them. But I can
Mm.
help people who are not aligned with my values, but are congruent with their own, to find other people who are in alignment with their values and congruent with their own, and they can partner well together. And I can name some really big names that I've done that for. But like you said, we'll protect people for their values.
And that's I love that what you just said, because if it doesn't work out for us, it's like dating in a sense. If you remember when you were single and you were dating, maybe the person you went out with wasn't exactly the right match for you, but they could be a match for someone else based on
Exactly.
their values. And I love that idea. So it's not like you go and have this meeting and then you say, "Oh man, I'll never work with that guy or that person." You just think about, well, who do I know who shares similar values, similar programs, a similar audience, similar client avatar? And, how could I connect them? Which is a great service.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you're not just saying no. I don't want to
And
work with you.
exactly. There are a lot of people that don't seem aligned with my values.
Mhm.
And I've seen other people say the same thing, but I've also heard from other people say, "Oh my gosh, I got the biggest breakthrough from this person." I'm like, well, see, there's somebody for everyone.
There is someone for everyone, and there is, the negative. They call it negative theology. You figure out what God isn't, so you can know what God is. It's kind of like we figure out what is not our value system, and that helps us really understand why we have the values we have, and so we can have those experiences and make something positive out of them. But in terms of partnership, what I hear you really saying that I think is important for everyone is first look for the alignment of the values, right? And
Yeah.
how do you find out people's values, Mark? What are the ways that you can do that without making them feel like they're being put on a very under a very bright light, and questioned by the mafia or the
Exactly.
whatever, the Inquisition?
It's funny that you say that because as you start to ask this question, my heart beats faster because I've become very passionate about this specific piece
Mhm,
about creating aligned partnerships. And
mhm.
I've had processes that I use to find out if people are a good fit of doing research and
Yeah.
seeing who they've done in the past and what kind of reputation they have. And a friend of mine was just helping me to put together my media one sheet. One of my clients actually, I'd hired her, and in the process, kind of created a signature program called the Discern process. And I'm
Mm,
actually going to give this everybody that gets my free gift. The Discern process is inside of my Soulful Leadership Roadmap. And it's a 7-step process. It's the anagram Discern, but it's really about using all of these different pieces, some of them very mechanical, but the one that you just asked about is the most important. Without having to go into anybody's like, how big is your list or who are your stuff like that. It's really just having a conversation,
mhm.
and your gut will tell you, is this somebody that I would want to have dinner with? Is this somebody that I
Yeah,
would want to be around? And is this somebody I want to play with? Because that's really what I look at. My clients, my partners, my affiliates, they're all people that
yeah,
I want to play life with.
exactly. They're people you would enjoy hanging out with, you know? And I like what you're saying about it's at a gut level because truthfully, when I go networking and people are always saying, "Well, how do you have your show booked out through February?" Well, how do I not have it booked out through February? Because,
Well,
you
actually,
know,
booking it out isn't
having
that hard. You get really great people, not to book I'm not talking about me, but I've seen your shows, and the reason that you get great people, not how do you get it booked out, but how do you get great people on your show wanting to be booked out for months, waiting their turn? It is that, it's alignment.
it's alignment, and it's because when I meet them, I don't accept applications for people to be on my show, Mark. I don't. I approach the people that I'm like, yeah, that person's got to be on my show. I don't know exactly what we're going to talk about, but we're going to have a conversation and we'll figure it out. And especially when it's the people who have a lot of gatekeepers, and I've had a number of them too, Mark, then I just know because I know their material very well, whether or not I've met them personally. I just know they're meant to be there, and whatever we talk about is just perfect. I just had the opportunity to interview Leonie Dawson, and we talked all about neurodivergence and trauma
Mhm.
and how that makes us better business people, like having had the experience of trauma and also having the experience of neurodivergence, whether that's ADHD or whatever it is, epilepsy. So that was just a really fruitful discussion.
Any
Yeah,
form of adversity, any form of adversity is going to make us better humans if we allow it to, better
yeah.
entrepreneurs for sure, if we allow it to.
Yeah, because we don't give up. We just don't. We
Mhm.
we just, I say it weebles wobble, but they don't fall down, you know? We're the weebles because we don't fall down. We haven't so far and we don't. Well, so alignment, and I love this discern process that you're talking about. And I put up in the comments, ooh, a free gift coming. Yes, you all stay to the end and you'll get a free gift. You'll not only get one, but you'll get two. And we want you to comment. We want you to speak your mind. I hear from people and they're like, yeah, I was listening, but I didn't want to say anything. Why not? Just live a little. We're not going to judge you. We love to have your hearts. We love to have your comments. So make a comment and be a giver to other people who will see it down the road. So that alignment piece, I love this. And Mark, would you say that the process that you put people through it originally is a gut process, but what's a little bit more that you may do to discern that they are good people to work with?
Sure. So there's obviously things like compatibility.
Hmm.
Do you have the same audience? It doesn't make sense that if you're a relationship coach and I'm teaching people on how to build their business, then
Yeah.
my people might not relate to yours, and that makes sense. Another thing is that, believe it or not, not everybody is who they say they are. So doing a little bit of due diligence and finding out, I remember my mentor, I
Yeah.
met Alan Davidson at a Margaret Lynch event, and
Hmm.
when I saw the number of people that he had worked with and the names that he had worked with, I said, "How much would it cost to hire you?" And he said, "Well, what transformations have you gotten for people? What case studies do you have?" And I said, "Well, I just got started. I don't have any case studies, but I'll
Hmm.
get the case studies." He goes, get the case studies and then come back to me when you have them. That's when you're ready.
I love that. He actually gave you an assignment to vet you. And I think every single one of us on here should be doing that. Before you give away a complimentary session, you have people do an application. Before you have somebody come into the JV directory, and by the way, you all, Mark is co-creator of the JV directory, the Joint Venture Directory, along with David Ricklin, which is an incredible organization. I'm a member, just so you know, and y'all should come. And if you come, you need to mention that I sent you.
You get special credit if you mention Barnsley.
Oh, yes, you get special. You get the red carpet, all the red carpet rolled out for you,
That's not a joke. You send me a message privately that Barnsley sent me, and I'll send you something special.
Whoa, did y'all hear that? See, you're the VIP crew. You are. Joint Venture Directory is amazing. And they can come a couple of times, right, Mark, before they make a decision?
They can come as many times as they want. We don't tell people that.
Without joining?
Forever.
Yeah, but they have to.
We have people that come for months, and then finally they're like, "Oh my God, I've made so many connections. Finally, I had to pay the small fee to join."
Yeah, but you want to join, come check that out 2 or 3 times, but you want to join because then you can have your profile, then you can connect, and you can search the database and all of that and find your
membership does have
people.
its privileges. Yes.
Yes, membership has its privileges, and you all have great events. Tell them just for a second, since we mentioned it. Tell them about your events where people get to network.
Yeah. So I have 2 different companies. My wife and I run the Soul Affiliate Alliance, and that's the Soulful Leadership Retreat that you were alluding to earlier. And then my partner, David Ricklin, and I run the Joint Venture Directory, which is for coaches, authors, speakers, anybody that's in the self-growth, personal development space, whether you're in the actual expert space or you support them, copywriters, marketers, book publishers, people that support all of those professions. So we have usually 100 to 120 people every 2 weeks. Half of them are members, half of them are guests. And we do a breakout with mini masterminds. I assign personally a room host to each of the 15 or so rooms so that everybody in the room gets value and gets heard and seen in the room. And then we come back and we do a power network where everybody gets a 1-minute intro to the whole community. And we save those inside of our directory so our 1,400 members can have access to go through and look at those and see who the new people are every 2 weeks.
Love it. Love it. Love it. And as you know, I'm just rooting for y'all to because there are so many people, to make that intro a little shorter. So we can all stay because the event is well worth staying the whole amount. But yeah, when you're a single mom or you got, kids that were like, "Give me food, mom," you got to get off the phone eventually. They are excellent. And the JV directory is a really a great resource. And as Mark said, if you send him a special message, Mark, what's your email? Mark at Mark.
Mark, you can actually mark a JV directory. That way my team gets it. Nothing gets missed, slips through the cracks.
Got it. So send a message there, you all, and say, Dr. B or Dr. Barnsley or that woman who has the Bold Badass show, and he'll give you something special. But you really owe it to yourself to get there. And I did not know, Mark, that they can keep coming indefinitely. I don't recommend that. Y'all go. But eventually, after a few times, just join. Daggone it, commit.
Again, there's so many benefits to joining. We're not worried about it. Everybody that does, we let them share first. So if there's 100 people on the call, the first 50 are members, and then the second 50 are. And we have people that are coming for the very first time that are like, "Oh my gosh, it was worth waiting to the end just to meet them."
And I have definitely met people, you all, just so you know, I have met people who I have done show swaps with. We were on each other's shows. We have collaborated in other ways. So it definitely is. We've been sounding boards for each other with ideas. There are all sorts of ways that you can come in here and grow your business while you're growing other people's businesses too, which is just a win-win all the way around.
I want to say something about that because that's really, really important. A lot of people think of joint venture as just a promotional swap. I'll email for you and you email for me. And you just named like 3 or 4 other things. We have 21 different ways outside the norms. And so thank you just for bringing to attention that there's lots of different ways to play together and collaborate without just feeling like transactional sometimes.
Exactly. In fact, we don't want it to be transactional. And as I mentioned to you before this, Mark, I just was meeting with Chuck Anderson, who also helps people set up affiliate relationships. And we were just talking about how important it is to us to have relationships. And so many of the people who we interview, he also has a show, who we interview become our affiliates. Well, that makes sense because we get to know each other and we become their affiliate promoters too. But it's not just about that. It's not about a transaction that happens. It's about trust. It's about supporting each other. It's about connecting each other to resources that we need. It's about sometimes recommending software, asking the people in your network, hey, I want to do this. What software do you recommend? There's so many ways we can play together. It's about sending a free ticket that we have an extra free ticket because we invested in something, just gifting that to someone else. All of these things are great ways that we can collaborate. It's about people like right now, Mark. I have to tell you, people are coming out of the woodwork to endorse my first children's book. And it just makes me so excited. It's like, and I just, for me, it's kind of hard to ask. I still have this issue with asking sometimes. And I'll say, I've got this children's book. I'm so excited about it. It's all about the fact that everyone matters and kindness is so powerful in our world and we can overcome anything, trauma, bullying, whatever, through connection and kindness. People are like, oh, I love that. I want to read it. And I'll say, well, if you want to read it, how about giving me an endorsement? If you like it, when you read it, give me an endorsement and then let me also put your website. Oh, I'd love to do that. You know, so there are
Mhm.
so many ways we can support each other. Writing reviews, Google My Business reviews. You know, in fact, that just gave me an idea, Mark. I think I need to be writing Google My Business reviews for everybody on my show. I may just hand that over to my VA, but give them some stuff and have them go and do it
One of the things I
because
do for all of my clients is I ask them to make sure that they have their profile on LinkedIn, and then I go
yes,
and I recommend them.
yep,
Just writing a simple
exactly.
recommendation. In fact, go and look at some of your friends and people to see when the last recommendation they got was. LinkedIn really looks at that when they created their all of their algorithms to get your visibility. So the more recommendations and the more recent they are,
Oh
so you can
my,
actually have your clients do the same for you. Say, hey, and that's another thing is reciprocity. We talk a lot about that. That's a big
yeah,
thing. When you give first, it
yes.
creates a law of reciprocity. And so when you say, hey, I'd love to write a recommendation, you might write 3 of them and only one person writes the return, but you're not doing it for the return. That's just something that naturally will happen.
And the other thing is when you write that review of someone, then post it everywhere you possibly can. Post it on their Facebook business page or give it to them to post there. Post it on their Google My Business, put it on your page and tag them.
It's
Shout
funny
out
because
about them.
I've actually had people come up to me like, I don't know you, but I see your testimonials everywhere. And I'm like, I've invested in a lot of things, and I've gotten results. And when I do, I like to tell people about it.
Well, giving is always the best. Giving first is always the best policy. It really is. Giving first. I think that people, when they approach, this gets us into what doesn't work with joint venture partnerships. When someone comes and they're obviously just coming to get something, right? Would you send this email out to my list? And no, I don't know you. Let's talk about how we can help each other. And then out of that, there may be that conversation, you know?
Hmm.
But coming to someone and saying, well, first of all, I'd like to send out this information on what you do here. And then you have actually distinguished yourself because I think it was Wayne Dyer. No, it wasn't Wayne Dyer. It was Dale Carnegie who said most people are out to get something. So the person who is a giver is a rare, rare person and they stand out in the crowd.
Absolutely. And I think it was Zig Ziglar that said you can get anything you want if you help enough other people get what they want.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
Same
so
idea.
true.
Yep.
Yeah. And it just comes, the energy has to come back. It just has to circle back, whether or not it comes from the same person, as you pointed out. You may write 5 reviews and only one person goes and does that for you out of that group, but you better believe the energy's out there and you're going to start getting reviews from other people. That
Absolutely.
energy is there.
You were
So
asking
I really
about
believe
kind of
that.
like some of the how do I decide? And one of the things you brought up was the second letter in discernment is I, and that stands for intent alignment. And to me, it's
Mm,
one of the most important things to look for is like, well, what is it that you want out of it? Because some people are transactional, and like we said,
yeah,
if that's the values, that's okay. I can align you with somebody else who's looking for, if you need this size list, you need this many clicks, you need this, whatever that metric is that they're looking for. You need a certain size podcast audience. Um, you need a certain revenue.
yeah.
Then we can find that out. But as long as the intent is similar, that's fine. But if one person is just saying, hey, I just want to make as big of an impact as I can, when you're doing that and you're finding other people that just want to make a big impact, it's going to cause visibility. It's going to cause
Mhm.
synchronicities and magic and other things. But it doesn't matter what the intent, it just has to be intent aligned.
I like that. So have your intent, everybody listening, be very clear on what your intent, what your goal, what you envision to happen through this, partnership. Know what that is before you go in, so that you're intentional about it and you're not simply just, yeah, oh, that sounds good. Let's just give each other commissions now.
And there should be
Yeah.
three intentions that you should be keeping in mind. So, as far as content, if you really want to get value out of this conversation, besides the juiciness of it, is
Mhm,
you want to look at like what is the value that the person listening is getting?
mhm,
What's in it for them? What's in it? What is the intent for them? So, is it the intention for them to become better, stronger people? Is it to become better marketers? Is it to become whatever the transformational promise of the event? But then each person that is going into it, so let's say you're in a summit, or a giveaway that you're helping to give value, but you want to know what is your intention for it. You want to add new people to your list. You want people that are aligned with the message, that are going to value that. And the other person is going to want the same thing. So again, whatever projects you're working on, just make sure that you're both going into that project for the same reason,
mhm.
and the same person, the benefits from it. All of the intents are aligned.
What was the third one I got? What is the value of your audience in an event, right? You want to
Yep.
think about that and align that. And you want to think about, what do you want to happen, i.e., build your list, whatever, create
Revenue, yeah,
revenue.
visibility, and then what is it that your partner? What is the value for the partner? That's the win-win-win. What's in it for your audience? What's in it for you? And what's in it for your partner? There's three of
Okay.
us, and right now. Hopefully, your audience is getting value from our conversation. Uh,
Mhm.
I'm hopefully getting in front of people who are aligned with the conversation
Mhm.
that I like to have every day. And the same thing for you. I want to make sure that more and more people know about this show and becoming badasses themselves.
We want business badasses. So make sure all of that is aligned. I'm popping this up, you all, in the comments. All of that is aligned. These are your three things to look at. That's really helpful, because so many people just go in knowing maybe one of those, and that's it. Or they assume, because we have the same audience, like we work with people in the first few years of their business, it'll be a good fit. No, 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 no. That's kind of like saying they have two eyes and a nose and they walk on usually 2 feet. They're a great fit. No. So we got to look deeply and use our guts, you all, and also use our minds and ask these questions to make sure that we're in alignment. So, how about some horror stories? I always like horror stories for some reason, Mark. Horror stories about working with people. Okay.
Mhm.
And so I could say, probably, I can tell you all one of mine if you want to hear. Y'all want to
I
hear?
would love to.
Okay,
Yeah,
let me tell you.
we're saving
A
names,
little bit of a
but
horror.
yes.
All right. So let's just say you get into, and this is years ago, and of course, names will not be named, but this is something that happened during academic times. And that was when I was teaching. And I was partnering with somebody to co teach a workshop. And actually, what I found is our energy was not in alignment. So I'm the kind of person that I get really enthusiastic. I'm highly energized. And this person was quiet. And they were the kind of person who would stand back and let somebody else talk. So guess what happened? I had to feel like I was toning myself down, right? and kind of like a wild horse that you rein back, and so that they could talk, and do their thing. And then I had to be comfortable with a lot of silence, which I thought was boring as hell. Mark, I would much rather somebody interrupt me and say, but wait a second, Barnsley, let me point out this. Oh, yeah, you're right. Let's talk about that. I'd much rather have that kind of dynamism and fast,
Mhm.
discussion than one where there's this long pause. And that's what was happening. And so I felt like I was too much, and I think they felt like they were too little. It was not a good fit
Mhm.
for
Mhm.
co-presenting.
And I'd love that. What of all the examples that you can pit, those are really, really cool of you acknowledging that they may have felt like too little next to you. And
Yeah.
the idea of all of us are asked at times to dim our light to make other people feel comfortable.
Mhm.
And I plead with everyone, please don't ever dim yourselves to make someone else more comfortable.
Absolutely. And, we're not for everyone. We're not for everyone. One of my favorite clients in the world was, I said, look, I have been working, Aaron, on repelling people for the last few years. I've been working on attracting just the right people very consciously and repelling the people that I will scare the hell out of, because we go and do the thing. We don't sit around and talk about it. I'm not one of these people who takes, and I'm saying this because of a conversation I had earlier, who takes over $50,000 of someone's money and doesn't deliver results. People get results in my program. 97 to 98% of people get the results that I promise, of being at six figures or more. That's with fun in that year. Now, if they want to be at less, that's fine. Doesn't matter. We'll do that. But the point is, we get the results, and I'm not going to take somebody's money and not give the results. Um, Makes me so upset. But she said, "Yeah, you're really. I know some people who've been really repelled by you." And I said, "Good, good, as they
Yeah,
should be." Because I'm not for
absolutely.
the dilettantes. If you're a dilettante and you're a hobbyist, I'm gonna scare the shit out of you, because we're gonna do the thing and we're gonna do what works. So we've got to be willing to do that in partnerships too, right, Mark?
Absolutely. So there's two things there that I want to go back to. One is that good marketing isn't about just attracting the right people. It is about
Mhm.
repelling the wrong people because you don't want to
Mm,
work with them. The same thing is true about joint ventures. It's
mm,
not just about attracting the right partners, but you talk about messes. And so as you're saying that, I'm thinking about, I've got 100 in my mind from clients to go through of well, which one is the most? And um, I'm looking at like, well, what is the worst problem? And the worst problems that have come were not just from like, okay, I went all in. Like, there's all kinds of horror stories about people who did their end and then just didn't, the other person didn't have integrity, didn't follow through on what they were supposed to. But that's not the worst that can
mm,
happen. To me, the worst thing that can happen to you in a partnership is that when you're in a partnership, and particularly the word partnership, I was at an event this weekend where a lawyer saying, don't ever use that word, don't use joint venture, use affiliate, use anything but, because that has legal implications. Um,
mm.
and even beyond the legal is the social judgment. So one of the words in discern is around risk assessment.
Mm.
So you want to think about what is the risk of partnering with this person if they have
Yeah.
a bad reputation. And that's what I was going to say. So I've had partnered with people where they were like, other partners have said, if you're partnering with them, I don't want to do business with you anymore.
Whoa.
Because if that's the kind of people
Whoa.
that you want to play with, I don't want to play with you.
And I
And
think that's a powerful stand, because you know what? Here's the thing, word gets around, doesn't it? Word gets around, and, for
I
good and
didn't
for
know. I was like,
worse.
well, what happened? Tell me, oh my goodness, I didn't know. And
Yeah, you were like,
like,
"Give me
oh,
the
you didn't
deeds
hear?
on that." Well, but people talk, and, I had the experience of being associated with someone who, to me, was just hilarious and very, very fun, and a rebel, but to some people, what really was offensive. And it's important. I think we can qualify our relationships with people, but we want to really think, who are those close associations we're having around us? And are they at the level of excellence that we want in our businesses and our lives? in every way.
This actually comes to a much bigger challenge for me personally in life,
Mhm.
is a pull between two philosophies of
Yeah.
um, say, I'm sorry, radical inclusion. Like, how do
Yeah.
we create world peace if we don't love the people we hate? But how
Mm.
do we have divine discernment enough? And so there's a piece of it around like, okay, there's this inner circle of the people that I have the divine discernment, but how do I include, be all inclusive at the same time?
That's deep. That is really deep, right? How can we be inclusive of people and not judge them because maybe their values are just monetary? You know, it's like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Some people are going to be really at that stage of I just want shelter, shelter, and more shelter. I want like to buy the whole Monopoly board, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's okay.
That's their need.
And
Right. I
there's
love they
nothing wrong.
brought Abraham Maslow into it. That was great.
Yeah, and then
Totally true.
taking that, right, and saying, "Okay, well, but there's another level. There's another level to why amass all this money? We know from the Egyptians you sure can't take it with you, but if you're amassing it in order to share it, to spread the wealth, to help others, to create that orphanage or support that charity or you know whatever it is that you like to do. I like to rescue animals. I love giving chicks. I give chicks away through heifer. I
That's
love to give
fun.
flocks of chicks. That's what I do. When somebody dies, I give a flock of chicks. What better thing to keep their memory going because it supports a family? When it's somebody's birthday, I like to give flocks of chicks. Sometimes you
Where did
can
the
go in
chicks
and get a
go?
goat.
Is it in US?
It's
Yeah,
worldwide.
that's
Heifer, yeah.
amazing. My
I
sister has
love heifer.
chicks. I wish I
And
could
a
be the
flock
place
of
where I could.
chicks, the flock of chicks is just 25 bucks, Mark, you know, so you could get several flocks of chicks. You can also get a llama, you can get a goat, you can get a cow, you can, it depends on, you can go as big as you want. I love heifer, and I also like kiva because kiva allows you, you know, kiva, it
No,
allows
Kiva,
you
I've
to
never heard of
actually
heifer, though.
stake someone. So for example, you could give a little microloan of $25, $50, $100, whatever, and a woman in another country who doesn't have a startup loan and can't get one because she's in a developing nation can use that. And I think they have this incredible percentage of about 95% of their loans that get paid back.
Yeah,
Why?
amazing.
Because somebody is so grateful that someone else cared enough to stake them.
It's like 2 or 3 times the standard loan return on investment than a normal
Yeah.
loan where people default on them all the time
Yeah.
because they were just taking these risky businesses. But here's these women out, yeah, literally creating jewelry to sell or whatever it might be,
Yeah.
and they're getting their loans paid off.
I love it. And you know, I got to volunteer in a lot of places, but in Zimbabwe years ago, Mark, and I just will never forget the incredible handicrafts that people had. And in fact, the second time I went to volunteer, I went with my mother, and we brought back a bunch of beautiful things. She purchased a lot of them, and then we sold them to people here. But it supported a women's collective there so that they could feed their families. All right, I have a challenge. How about a challenge? Let's do a
Woo!
challenge, Mark. Woo-hoo-hoo. All right,
Challenges make us
everybody.
stronger and better.
Here we go. All of you listening. All right. I think you get what a big heart Mark has. And I didn't say that in your introduction, but I knew it would come up.
That's huge.
And you know, I love for you to give. And here's the thing everything that we give returns to us multiplied. Everything. That is a law of the universe, y'all. All right. And don't tell me you don't have money. Go give your time then. Go give your time. That's fine. You have plenty of time. But right now, I'd like to challenge everybody to go to Heifer. Maybe I'll send this to Heifer and say, you know what I did on my show because I love y'all, and send a flock of chicks. Just one flock of chicks, $25 in honor of someone you love. Maybe they passed on, maybe it was their birthday, or in honor of someone you love who's alive, still on the planet, or in honor of an idea, right? This idea of we all matter. Whatever you want to honor, someone, an idea, go ahead and send a flock of chicks because the beauty of that is that a family is going to be able to feed their children using the eggs. They're going to be able to sell the eggs, and if they ever need to really release one of the chickens and have more to eat, they can do that. But usually what they end up doing is eating the eggs and selling them. And you're going to be creating a huge ripple in a developing nation like Sri Lanka or Vietnam, or I mean, they're all over the world, or Tanzania, they're all over the world. Just go do that. And if you want to sponsor more than one, do. But as you do it, I want you to feel how great it feels to give and to align with something bigger than you. And that's really what we're talking about in conscious collaborations. We are aligning with someone, something, an idea, a way of being, a way of doing business that is bigger than we are. And, Mark, I know for you that you call yourself the soul connector. You always bring in the spiritual. So do I. We want to repel the people that don't get that. I'm not going to say I believe in radical inclusion in the that everybody has that source energy, that divine energy, whatever you want to call it, that creative energy within them. Everybody has it, right? But not everybody chooses to come from a place of love,
Yep. I love this. I can't tell you how excited I am about the giving challenge, and that I want to use this. I'm going to incorporate this into my affiliate conversations, and especially at my event, I want to have that in part of the talk of saying, okay, the world of joint ventures is a game of I'll go first.
Yeah.
And it is about giving. And
Yeah.
this idea of giving is really important. My dear friend, Cynthia Kersey, has created something called the Unstoppable Foundation, where she helps for $25,000. You can build a school in Kenya and a well.
Whoa.
So you have a school, so you educate a community for life, and you have a well, so they have clean water and you can keep them healthy for life. But what I love about her is she teaches the science of giving, and they have all kinds of science about how you talked about the fivefold, the return that comes from giving, when it comes from giving, and the difference between that and investing. So when people donate $1,000 as a tax write-off, that's an investment.
Yeah, that's
not a problem if you want an investment. It's good that if you're going to have a tax write-off, if you're going to protect your money, you might as well go to a good cause and make sure it is going to a good cause. There's lots of bad ones as well, but the idea of giving money for the sake of giving is different than investing. And so this idea of, pick whatever one it is, it doesn't matter. Pick what you're passionate about and give just for the sake of giving. And particularly when you give anonymously, not to get attention. And it's okay to give, put your name on it and let people know, hey, I'm about giving. But there's something special when you just donate $25 and don't tell them it's from me.
Let's see, that's what you're doing essentially with Heifer, unless you let somebody know this is in honor of your mom who passed or whatever, which is really sweet. Now, I have a different take on this too, actually, Mark, you'll laugh. So recently, a dear friend who was also my client for a long, long time, I just love her. Her father passed away, and the group that she's part of, that I'm training them, I just won't say which group it is, but I had said to everyone, why don't we all contribute and let's give her a nice gift card and they can use it for whatever meals they need instead of just taking meals. It'll be easier. We can do something bigger together. And people weren't taking action. And I said, all right, two things. I'd like us to give as a whole, because that ups how much other people are going to give, because we can give a larger amount. And then I want us to say who it's from, because I want her to know, but I also want to embed in people's heads the idea of a group can give. And it is like a challenge to other people, because I didn't know the people who were on this website that they were on. I didn't know them. They don't know me, but it just ups the ante. So I do believe it is a powerful thing. I'm not saying to say, well, I just gave, like that, but to say, you know what, I love to give. I just gave like over $2,000 worth of stuff to Independent Animal Rescue. Why? Because I love animals and they bring so much joy to my life.
A client of ours just bought a bus for his people in $25,000 they were able to give, and he didn't want any attention. But on the back of it, it says, "Thank you to World Class Speaker Academy."
I love that.
Out in the middle of Kenya, nobody in Kenya is going to worldclassspeakeracademy.com to find out who gave him this bus.
But it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. It's the energy. I love that. I want to interview your friend on the show, by the way. So I want you to connect us
Oh yeah, I actually have
about the
somebody else
schooling
too,
opinion.
because you were mentioning your friend Chuck Anderson. Seth Green has that whole model of bring the people onto your show that are the people that you want to work and play with. They become your affiliate partner. So
Yeah.
you're going to introduce me to Chuck. I'll introduce you to Seth Green and to Jace Souter.
And I love that. And we want to meet the people who are out there doing good in the world. And that is the thing. There you all, I just wanted to say to everybody, you can start small. Do you know what? When I first started my business, this is making me think of so many things, Mark. And I have been in business for 23 years. And at times the other speakers and trainers went out of business. I never did. And you know what? It's all a consciousness thing. It's a consciousness thing. That's what I'm going to say. Even whenever I had business get slow, and I want y'all to hear me, I gave more. All right. Maybe you can't give money, but you can give time. Whenever business gets slow, give more. Give your time, talent, treasure. Give it, give it, give it. And I remember at Christmas, I was like, oh, one of the things the homeless shelters always need is socks, new socks. People don't have socks.
Yep.
And they need socks. And they're walking around without socks, getting blisters. Maybe their shoes have holes in them. They need socks and they're cold. And I just remember saying, for everyone who gets a coaching session, I'm going to donate a half a dozen socks. And if you get a package, it's 3 or it's 5, however many sessions. And I just had the socks right there. This is when people were coming in person to my office rather than on Zoom. Had the socks right there and watch them pile up. And people would come in and be like, what are these socks? Oh, let me tell you. And did the socks cost me much? You all know, maybe $5 for 6 of them, something like that. It wasn't much, but it made all the difference to somebody who didn't have socks. So I don't care where you are in your business. If you're giving a $25,000 bus, yeehaw, good. But even if you can't do that right now, notice I said right now, you can surely give. You have something to give. And you have it right there. You can just get something in your house, sell it on Facebook Marketplace, and give it.
I want to go one more step. I hope we're not going to full rant. We're talking about joint ventures, but this actually is very much related because sometimes people have judgment about giving. So we were going to have somebody come to our event who taught meditation to people in prison. And I had somebody that was concerned because she had women that were violated who felt like they couldn't forgive somebody who was in prison who might have violated another woman. And how dare this person get to meditate and have peace in their life when there are women out there in the world who don't get to have peace in their life. And there are people who judge homeless people on the street saying that's a choice.
Yeah.
They could be there. And there are people that have all kinds of judgment about who they will give to. And so I might encourage you to give money to the people who you have the most judgment about.
Oh, well, that's powerful. That just made me think of political parties, etc. I'm not going there.
Never mind. I take it back. I take it back.
Like, that's really a test right there.
You push my buttons now.
Oh man. But yeah, I hear you on that. I remember Sark, Susan Ariel Rainbow Kennedy, whose work I just love. I love Wild Succulent Woman. And she says, take someone dangerous to tea, right? So take somebody who's radically different from you, someone who's very different from you. Take them out to lunch and have a discussion. I'm going to be volunteering at the state fair. You'll love this, Mark. And I'm very metaphysical. I'm part of the unity movement. It's interfaith. It's practical Christianity, but really I'm like a Christian Buddhist mystic. And I'm going to be womaning the booth with Baptists. How fun is that? And I was raised Presbyterian and I went to a Baptist school, right? My undergraduate, but it's just good because peace is something that we can all agree on. So it's a peace booth. That's what the booth is about, creating peace. We can all agree on that. We can let go of our ideas of dogma and just connect on let's create peace on earth. And how does that happen? Well, I love this discussion. We actually have a little bit more time, but I will ask you this. If someone said right now, okay, I've got people in my network, but I just don't really know how to choose someone to approach. I mean, how do I approach someone? I don't have a show like you, Barnsley, or I don't have this soulful leadership retreat like you, Mark. I mean, so how do I approach someone and not have it feel like I'm kind of glomming onto them, And what would you say to those people who are maybe feeling like they don't have in place what they need to make those connections?
This is a great question because we've been talking about giving, and for a lot of people, they're like, "Well, that I'm out because there's what can I give to a partner?" We've been talking about lots of different kinds of giving that we
Yep.
can do, and it's the same thing with partners. And this is one of the things that I teach is around what are the benefits that you bring, because you want to be really clear on what is it that you want out of a partnership, but you also want to know what is it that you're bringing to the party, because nobody wants to party all the time when you're not bringing anything at all. And people
Mhm.
actually, they're the greatest gifts that you have, maybe the things that you're not even aware of. So
Mm.
even if you don't have a big list, you don't need to have a big list. You don't need to have a show. You don't need to have any of those things. If you're aligned with somebody, there's lots of things that you can do. So first of all, um, you don't have to like start off by supporting big partners. You can find out that there are other people that you could support that need your support, because you're really only supporting that big partner so that they will eventually reciprocate and partner back. That's not really trying to support them. That's trying to
Mhm.
get their attention. So you could start off by giving your support to the people who do need it. You can
Mhm.
interview anybody on Facebook Live. It doesn't have to
Yep.
be as well produced as what you do. You don't have to have all the graphic. You don't have to have it all put together. You
Yeah.
can tell anybody, say, "Hey, I love what you're up to, and I would like to just do a Facebook Live." And you could do that for everybody that you know that supports what you're doing. And boom, now you've got all these Facebook Lives where you actually could send people, it could draw traffic, could do all these other wonderful things for you. But the idea is, what can I do? That's just one little visibility thing. That's what most people are looking for. Um, Another thing that you can do is just be a raving fan. So if they have a
Mhm.
Facebook community, you can be in that Facebook community telling other people about it. You might not have a show, but you might love this show and you want to tell everybody that you can about Dr. Barnsley's show. And that's a great thing to get attention. Like people see, like, wow, you keep talking about me. That's a great way to be seen. The other thing is what I call the golden hammer. Um, they say that to a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And I think of the golden hammer from Wreck-It Ralph. Fix-It Felix had this hammer that no matter what he hit, it would fix things. And I believe that we all have a golden hammer. It's our gift that we often give away. Some people are really good listeners. And so you
Mhm.
might be able to listen to somebody and be able to give them feedback that other people wouldn't be able to give them. You might have a connection. You might know people. It doesn't have to be that you have 100 people on your list, but you know one person that is the person that they need. So if you think about the connections that you have and the people that you
Mhm.
have that you want to support, sometimes just connecting the people that you want to support, you're doing both of them a favor. That's my favorite
Mm.
to do. That's my
I love
golden.
that. I'm getting all these down here. Connect them to someone or something they need. I love that. Except something got kind of messed up in what I was writing. Anyway,
And you were even
um,
talking about this earlier, even free resources or technology or the
mhm.
great copywriter, somebody that can do that does Facebook ads that you trust.
I love
Whatever.
that. It's so true. It just makes me think about a one-on-one I had recently, and I just felt like I needed to have this one-on-one with this person. I could tell, we were aligned spiritually. And I just gave to her. I was like, "Oh my God, you could do this. You could do that. Write this down." Blah, 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 blah. And she's like, "Oh my God, you've given me so much. I don't think I've given you anything." And I said, "Well, it was really fun." And, by the way, we really should probably think about doing like a children's enlightened children's author collective or something. And so this is what happened. And I've just been connecting her and she's been connecting me. And we've just been connecting each other.
I want to know more
And
about that. That's
yeah,
exciting.
exactly. But it came out of just, I came in with like, how can I serve? And that's what I would say to you all in everything that you come into. Ask, how can I serve? How can I serve? Not what can I get? Ask, how can I serve? And when you come in from there, the doors fly open, the windows fly open, the roofs blast off.
I want to add a little bit of context to what you just said, because I
Yeah,
think a lot of people that probably are attuned to you and resonate with you are natural born givers. And
yeah.
sometimes we give so much that we don't even take care of ourselves. So one of the things I want to
Mm,
practice is discernment of saying, I want to give as long as this is in the highest good. And sometimes we find that, okay, I need to have a boundary here. So you give as
Mhm.
long as it's aligned. And then when you get those boundaries and those signs, taking care of yourself is always the highest service to others.
Mark, I'm so happy you said that because that is absolutely true. We've got to give to ourselves first so that then we're coming from a place of being filled up. And then we can give to others. But when we just give, we will run ourselves into the ground. And in fact, it's a conversation I had earlier today with someone who is not having good luck in her business. She's not doing well in her business and she's giving things away. And, it's good to give and it's also good to be worthy of receiving. And actually, when I teach Reiki, I always say to people, hold your hands out like this. Do it with me, Mark. How fun. We can do this on Zoom. Everybody hold your hands out. Woo. And are you giving or are you receiving? Both. How cool is that? Like you're in the position to give and you're in the position to receive. Giving and receiving are the same, one and the same at a very fundamental level. And in Reiki, we call it because when you're giving, quote unquote, giving, that energy is flowing through you and out to the other person, right? So you're getting that Reiki treatment before it even goes into that other person. Even when you're sending it distant, that's what's happening. So I would just say, remember, there's got to be a balance. And fundamentally, giving and receiving are the same. But don't be just always throwing it that way. Also be willing to get it coming back your way, which actually gives that other person so much because then they realize, oh, I have something to give. I didn't realize that. I really have something that people need and want. I have something that people are hungry for.
That's another important thing too. Sometimes when we're helping people out and then they want to thank us for that, even just saying
Mhm.
thank you, oh no, it's no problem. Receive those thanks. Receive, even if somebody wants to pay you. Somebody one time was telling me a story about took out their friend to dinner, like, oh no, I got it. Like, no, you get it all the time. Please let me get it. They wanted to be able to return it. And sometimes we think we're doing somebody a favor by not allowing them to give to
Mhm.
us. Be open to receive because it is that gift of giving that you don't want to rob that from them.
Absolutely not. You're making me think I'm feeling a little shame because one birthday I had 14 free lunches, Mark.
And you took them
In
all?
other, in other words, I was taken out 14
Good. I thought you meant you denied 14 lunches. That would have
No,
been horrible.
no, no, I accepted them all. Are you kidding? I was like, "Thank you."
Not on the
You know,
same day.
not on the same day, but why not? It was, people came and I had been working on receiving, and there it was, like one after the other, and it was joyful. You're absolutely right. Let's not rob someone of the opportunity to know that they matter and know that they have something to give. And I think that is like the perfect moment for us to focus on what you're giving people. Mark, what are you giving them? Woohoo! Tell us
Woo!
before we got to wrap in just a couple of minutes. What are you giving them? They want to know.
So I think I've got a link for you for a JV gift bundle from the JV directory.
Okay.
That's different than what I was saying earlier. At the soulfulleadershipretreat.com, you can go and find out about our event in February. But if you add to the end of that, soulfulleadershipretreat.com/roadmap,
Mhm.
and I will get you an affiliate link for all those people who get it posted. They'll have a nice quick click link. Um, that roadmap has the discern method for aligned partnerships in it. It also has all of my intellectual property. It's the basic format for my brand as the Soul Connector on how to create greater impact, influence, and income in your mission-driven business.
Beautiful. So you all soulfulleadershipretreat.com. I just put it up in the comments, but for those of you watching on another platform, soulfulleadershipretreat.com/roadmap. And that's where you're going to get the discern method for creating conscious collaborations that includes all of that other stuff too. So definitely go now and get that. And I went to the via Zoom. I went to the Soulful Leadership Retreat last year, really enjoyed it, highly recommend it, coming up in February in Orlando. And also, you all always know that you can go to spirited-solutions.com and you can enjoy my Fun-tabulous, yes, it's fun and fabulous, Fun-tabulous ebook, which will keep you reading. Just leave it in your, put it in your bathroom, and you'll be in there laughing, and people will wonder about you. It's 7 ways how to overcome overwhelm in 7 easy steps. So go ahead and grab that. And I want to ask everyone to kindly go to my YouTube channel and subscribe, Dr. Barnsley Brown. Just go to YouTube and put in Dr. Barnsley Brown, and please subscribe and share this. Share this message of giving. Share this message of aligning. Share this message of the power created in collaboration with people around you, especially those you see who are doing the lone wolf thing in their business. Guess what happens to lone wolves? They get eaten, don't they? So let's instead have a party, the Conscious Collaboration Party. Mark, you have given us so much gold and such a deep conversation. I'm still thinking about that radical inclusion versus divine discernment. I'm going to be thinking about that tonight, scratching my head this Friday night.
That's our answer to world peace. So as soon as you get that, you let me know, and we're going to start implementing.
Yes, we're implementing. And just by you all watching, you're beginning to implement. You would not be here unless you were already a bold badass. Again, thank you, Mark. This is Dr. Barnsley Brown of the Bold Badass Business Owner Show. We'll see you every Friday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern. Now go give those flock of chicks to somebody.